Let me ask you a question. What if I told you that your entire future, your income, your health, your relationships, your legacy, hinges not on talent, luck, or timing, but on what you choose to do in the next 24 hours? Not someday. Today. Because the ultra-successful don't have superpowers. They have systems. They win not by doing more, but by doing a few things every day without fail. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what those things are. Success doesn't arrive in grand, sweeping moments. It's not found in one big decision, or in a lucky break, or a single brilliant idea. Instead, it's built slowly, methodically, through the small disciplines that are repeated every single day. These disciplines may seem ordinary, even boring at times, but they form the bedrock of extraordinary lives. The ultra-successful understand that greatness is not in doing something once with massive effort, but in doing the right things consistently with focused effort. Think about it. Anyone can go to the gym once. Anyone can wake up early once. Anyone can read a chapter of a book one time. But the people who rise to the top, the people who achieve what others only dream about, are those who have committed to making small, smart choices daily. They don't rely on motivation. They build systems. They set routines. They master the seemingly insignificant actions that, when compounded over time, create unstoppable momentum. Success, at its core, is about simplicity. It's about identifying a handful of key habits and repeating them relentlessly. Ultra-successful people don't try to do everything. They focus on a few things that truly matter, and they do them better than anyone else. It might be journaling in the morning, reviewing goals at night, setting intentions for the day, or exercising daily. These aren't revolutionary tasks, but they are executed with revolutionary consistency. The average person often falls into the trap of complexity, looking for hacks, shortcuts, or magical solutions. But the truth is that the real advantage comes from discipline, not hacks. Successful individuals don't wait to feel inspired. They show up whether they're inspired or not. That's the secret that nobody talks about. It's not about feeling good every day. It's about doing good every day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. These individuals have trained themselves to stay consistent through emotionless execution. They've learned that success is boring most of the time. It's not glamorous or exciting. It's setting the alarm the night before. It's writing the plan, sticking to it, and showing up when nobody's watching. And it's doing it over and over again, even when the results aren't immediate. That's what separates them from the crowd. One of the greatest lies people believe is that small actions don't matter. But the ultra-successful know better. They understand that the results you get are a direct reflection of the standards you hold yourself to every single day. If you raise your standards even slightly and hold the line with discipline, the results begin to shift. Your confidence grows. Your identity changes. And before long, you're living at a completely different level. Not because of one massive change, but because of 1,000 tiny ones, repeated consistently. There's a principle that success-minded individuals live by. Do it until it becomes part of you. Repetition builds identity. Identity shapes behavior, and behavior determines destiny. So when they practice daily habits, waking early, planning with precision, reading, learning, taking care of their health, they're not just building habits. They're building themselves. They're forming a character that can carry the weight of success. Another thing they understand is that the reward of the habit is not always external. It's not always a promotion, a check, or a trophy. Sometimes the reward is internal: clarity, peace of mind, confidence, momentum. And these internal rewards become the fuel that carries them through resistance, uncertainty, and even failure. The difference between success and stagnation often lies in who can be trusted with consistency. Most people dabble. They try something new, get excited, and then stop when it gets repetitive. The ultra-successful have a higher tolerance for repetition. They know mastery isn't sexy, it's slow. It's showing up day in and day out, refining, tweaking, improving. They live in the details, and that's where the breakthroughs are born. Ultimately, what defines the ultra-successful isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's commitment to the daily disciplines most people ignore. They don't seek intensity. They seek consistency, because they know the small hinges swing big doors. And if you can master your day, every day you can master your life. One of the most overlooked habits of high achievers is their ability to plan their day before it begins. They don't stumble into the morning, reacting to whatever shows up. They approach each day with intentionality, clarity, and structure. This isn't about being rigid or robotic. It's about being deliberate. They understand that without a plan, the world will impose its agenda. Distractions will take over. Priorities will shift, time will vanish. That's why they take control before the day even starts. The ultra-successful treat their mornings as sacred. Before the phone starts ringing, before the inbox floods, before the noise of the world kicks in, they sit with a journal, a planner, or just their thoughts, and they outline what matters most. They don't ask, "What do I have to do today?" They ask, "What is most important for me to move forward today?" This single shift in language changes everything. It shifts them from reacting to creating. They plan their day with intention. Every task, every meeting, every moment is chosen, not just accepted. They align their schedule with their long-term vision. They don't just chase to-do lists, they chase outcomes. What can I accomplish today that moves the needle? What small progress can I make that compounds over time? Their calendar becomes a reflection of their future, not just their present obligations. And this practice isn't complicated. It doesn't require hours of strategic thinking. It can be done in 10 minutes. It's about clarity. Most people wake up and dive headfirst into the chaos of life. But the ultra-successful pause. They reflect. They decide what kind of day they want to live, and then they build it before it begins. Planning doesn't mean everything goes perfectly. In fact, most days don't. But there's a difference between a plan that gets disrupted and no plan at all. When challenges arise, the ultra-successful adjust with purpose. Because they started with clarity, they can adapt with focus. They're not scrambling, they're recalibrating. That small but powerful distinction gives them the edge. Another powerful aspect of this habit is the sense of ownership it creates. When you plan your day ahead of time, you take responsibility for your outcomes. You're no longer blaming time, distractions, or bad luck. You chose the plan, you owned it, and that ownership creates a mindset of discipline and accountability. It builds confidence too, because every time you follow through on a plan you created, you prove to yourself that you're in control of your life. This habit also reduces overwhelm. Many people feel stressed not because they're doing too much, but because they haven't defined what matters most. When everything feels urgent, nothing gets done. But the ultra-successful have trained themselves to separate the essential from the noise. Their daily plan acts as a filter. It tells them, this is what deserves your energy. This is what can wait. That clarity brings peace and power at the same time. They don't rely on their memory or mood to guide their actions. They put their intentions on paper, or digitally, or in a voice note. They capture their thoughts, their priorities, and their goals. This act of writing things down isn't just organizational, it's transformational. It creates mental space. It relieves pressure. It sets a direction. Planning the day ahead of time also builds momentum. When you wake up already knowing what your first move is, you eliminate decision fatigue. You don't waste energy deciding what to do. You just do it. That early action, that quick win, sets the tone for the rest of the day. It's the difference between wandering and winning. And perhaps most importantly, this habit aligns with purpose. The ultra-successful aren't just busy, they're purposeful. They aren't chasing tasks, they're pursuing a mission. When they plan their day, they are asking themselves, how does this fit into the bigger picture? That alignment creates meaning. It makes every day part of something larger. It turns ordinary routines into meaningful rituals. The most successful individuals understand something that many overlook. The most valuable project you will ever work on is yourself. While others are consumed with external goals, making money, earning titles, gaining recognition, the ultra-successful turn inward. They invest daily in developing their mindset, refining their character, sharpening their skills, and expanding their knowledge. They know that lasting success flows from the inside out. If you grow as a person, everything else grows with you. This focus on personal development isn't a side hobby. It's a daily commitment. Reading books, listening to audio programs, learning from mentors, journaling, practicing mindfulness, studying communication. These aren't luxuries. They are necessities. While others are scrolling aimlessly or reacting to the world around them, the high achievers are choosing to build themselves one intentional input at a time. There's a clear understanding that success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who deserves it. If you want better results, you have to become better. And that transformation doesn't happen by chance. It happens by daily design. Just as you would go to the gym. To build physical strength, personal development is the mental gym. It's where resilience, discipline, emotional intelligence, and clarity are forged. The ultra-successful know that you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your most important system is your inner world. If your mindset is limited, your results will be limited. If your beliefs are small, your actions will be small. If your habits are weak, your outcomes will be weak. That's why they pour effort into building themselves from the inside. They study psychology, behavior, and leadership, not just to gain knowledge, but to gain self-awareness. The more they understand themselves, the better they can lead, create, and perform. This daily habit of self-work also creates a powerful foundation of confidence, not the kind of confidence that comes from external validation, but the kind that's earned, quietly, consistently, by doing the inner work. When you know you're improving every day, even in small ways, you carry yourself differently, you speak with conviction, you handle challenges with grace, you bounce back faster, because you've trained yourself to be strong on the inside. Personal development also has a compound effect. At first, it seems like nothing is happening. You read a few pages, listen to a podcast, write in your journal. But over time, these inputs stack. They begin to shape your thinking, your decisions, and your energy. One new idea sparks a change in how you lead your team. One insight shifts how you manage your time. One quote becomes the fuel you need on a hard day. This is the power of consistent growth. It makes you more capable in every area of life. This practice also cultivates humility. When you focus on growth, you're constantly reminded that you don't know it all. There's always another level. Always another lesson. The most successful people are the most teachable. They remain students no matter how high they climb. They don't let success become a ceiling. They use it as a stepping stone to keep learning, evolving, and expanding. In CUE, a world obsessed with appearances, the ultra-successful choose substance. While others chase outward symbols of success, they focus on becoming the kind of person who can handle, sustain, and multiply that success. They understand that money, fame, and influence can come and go, but who you become, that stays with you forever. So each day they ask questions like, what did I learn today? How did I grow today? Where can I improve tomorrow? These aren't questions asked out of insecurity. They're asked out of commitment. A commitment to never settle. A commitment to keep climbing. A commitment to becoming the best version of themselves. Not just for their own gain, but so they can lead, serve, and inspire others at the highest level. The small things you do every day reveal far more about your future than the big things you occasionally do. It's easy to focus on the big milestones. Launching a business, getting promoted, landing a big client. But those moments are the result of hundreds, even thousands of tiny choices made consistently. The ultra-successful know this. They pay attention to the details. They understand that their daily habits are writing the story of their future, and more importantly, they act accordingly. Success isn't a mystery. It leaves a trail. The way someone treats their morning routine, their workspace, their commitments. These are all clues. If someone is sloppy in the small areas, they're usually inconsistent in the big ones. But when someone consistently shows excellence in the little things, it signals a level of discipline and intentionality that carries over into every area of their life. That's why the top performers take pride in how they do even the most basic tasks. They know that every action reflects their standards. They approach every task, no matter how minor, with care and purpose. If it's a short email, they write it clearly and respectfully. If it's a routine meeting, they still show up prepared. If it's their desk, they keep it organized. It might seem like overkill to others, but to them, it's normal. They've trained themselves to hold a high standard in everything they touch. Because they know how you do anything is how you do everything. This mindset isn't about perfectionism. It's about consistency. You can't control every outcome, but you can control how you show up. And when you repeatedly show up with excellence, the small areas you build a foundation of trust, with yourself and with others. That trust creates momentum. It fuels confidence, and it sets you apart. Most people underestimate the power of consistency. They want dramatic results without realizing that consistent effort beats occasional brilliance every time. It's not about how hard you work once in a while. It's about how well you work day in and day out. The ultra-successful don't rely on emotion to guide their actions. They rely on commitment. They understand that discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Habits are powerful, not because they produce instant change, but because they compound over time. Waking up early one time doesn't change your life, but doing it for a year, that changes everything. Reading a few pages once isn't transformative, but reading a book a week for a year shifts your entire perspective. The ultra-successful build these kinds of habits into their life. They don't need to think about them anymore. They've become part of who they are. That identity shift is key. At a certain point, these habits aren't just things they do, they're expressions of who they are. A person who exercises daily doesn't think of it as a chore. It's just part of their lifestyle. A person who plans every day isn't forcing structure. They're living in alignment with their values. It becomes automatic, natural, expected. This is where real power comes from. Not from one-time effort, but from built-in discipline, the kind that shows up no matter what. Whether it's a good day or a hard one, the habits remain. Whether anyone is watching or not, the standards stay high. And over time, that creates a level of consistency that others can't compete with. Not because they aren't capable, but because they haven't made consistency their identity. There's something else that happens when you live this way. Your environment starts to respond. Opportunities open up. People take notice. Doors appear where there were none. Not because of luck, but because your habits have elevated your reputation. People trust those who show up consistently. People follow those who embody their values daily. That's why the ultra-successful are able to influence, lead, and create impact. Not by force, but by example. And that example is built day after day through their habits.